Hi everyone! Today I wanted to share with you a chapter from a new book by Alexander London called Battle Dragons, City of Thieves. This is a new book that's coming out September 21st, but I got my hands on an advance copy and I'm going to share the first chapter with you. So I'll start by reading the back of the book. Dragons nearly drove themselves to extinction. But in the city of Drakopolis, humans domesticated them centuries ago. Now dragons haul the city's cargo, taxi its bustling people between skyscrapers, and advertise its wares on bright neon displays. Most famously of all, the dragons battle. Different breeds take to the skies in nighttime bouts between the infamous kins, criminal gangs that rule through violence and intimidation. Abel has always loved dragons, but after a disastrous showing in his dragon rider's exam, he's destined never to fly one himself. All that changes the night his sister appears at his window, entrusting him with a secret and a stolen dragon. Turns out, his big sister is a dragon thief. Too bad his older brother is a rising star in Drakopolis law enforcement. To protect his friends and his family, Abel must partner with the stolen beast, riding it in kin battles and keeping more secrets than a dragon has scales. When everyone wants him fighting on their side, can Abel figure out what's worth fighting for? So that is the first book in the Battle Dragons series by Alexander London, and it is called City of Thieves. Here's chapter 1. At midnight, they would light the sky on fire. Abel stayed up to watch, keeping himself awake by reorganizing Draco Tech cards on his bed. Frostspitter with alloy armor +2 against firemouths. Wyvern with tail flamethrower +2 attack -1 speed. Ugh. He already had 3 of those wyverns and they were too slow to do any good in a game. They were fast in close combat, but slow in straightaways. Their poison breath couldn't hurt other dragons, only the riders, and the flamethrower at the tail wasn't all that useful. Anyone with a booster card or just a faster dragon from a premium deck could outrun and outfight a wyvern like that. Abel had no premium decks. He rearranged the grid of cards on the bed so that the Frostspitter got the flamethrower and the Wyvern got the alloy armor. In a real dragon battle, a Wyvern could have both, but the game only let you mod your dragon once, unless you had bonus storage cards. Abel did not. Those came with the premium decks too, and his parents couldn't afford to buy them. He could have won some off another player, but he only ever played with Roa, and he never won against his best friend. They were a way better player than he was. He wished he hadn't lost his green frost dragon with the diamond blades to Roa last week. He'd have to plan for a rematch, though he doubted he'd win that either. Sometimes while they were playing, Roa would try to keep him from losing by offering advice or reminding him about a dragon's special skills. But he was reckless. Play first and ask questions later. That was Abel's philosophy. And that's why I always lose, he told himself, yawning. It was 11:57. He could do this. He could stay awake. Percy snored in a ball at his feet. The pangolin's warm scales rested on the bones of his ankles. Somehow his cuddly, scaled pet could curl into a ball and take up more of the bed than when he was stretched out with his long tail and claws extended. He never should have let the pangolin share the bed with him, but now, after all these years, it was too late. Percy wouldn't sleep anywhere but at Abel's feet. He tried to nudge the sleeping ball off, but the only thing harder than moving a sleeping pangolin was moving an awake pangolin, and he didn't want to risk waking Percy. So he slipped his feet out from underneath the snoring ball of scales and sat with his knees pulled up to his chest. He rested his chin on his knees and yawned again. It was still 11:57. Why did waiting for something always make time slow down? He had the shades wide open so the glow from the billboards and the lane lights and the landing platforms filled his room. A cheerful ad for fire breather soda blinked from the roof across the way, soaking him in vibrant red and yellow light. He didn't need a flashlight to see his cards, and in 3 minutes, when the cleaning dragons came, it would be bright as noon on a cloudless day. Cleaning night happened 6 times a year, and in his entire 13 years, Abel had never managed to stay awake for it, even once. His mother insisted he was awake for it when he was a baby, because he was always awake when he was a baby, but he didn't think that counted. He couldn't remember and wouldn't have known what he was seeing anyway. Babies didn't know what dragons were, and definitely didn't know what the Department of Sanitation was. Now that he was 13, he knew. Every 2 months, all the buildings in the city put their big bales of garbage on the roof, and a team of long-wing infernals flew over each neighborhood to burn up the trash with their fiery breath. Then, a team of goat-mouthed short-winged dragons followed and ate up all the ashes. The fire from the infernals stayed overhead and couldn't hurt you unless you were standing on the roof of a skyscraper at midnight for some reason, but goat-mouthed dragons would eat anything they saw, ashes or metal or food scraps or pets or people. In preschool, everyone watched a video about the dangers of being outside on cleaning nights, and they'd watched it at the start of every school year since. The video hadn't been updated since before Abel was born. He didn't know the star's name, though she'd been a famous actor when her parents were younger. She'd also famously lost her teenage son when he snuck out on a cleaning night and got eaten by a goat mouth. That was not the kind of fame anyone wanted. So it was a pretty big surprise when Abel looked out the window and saw a person in all black leaping across the balconies outside his building, with 2 minutes until midnight. He looked up at the silhouettes of the dragons circling in a wide V formation, preparing for the big burn. Could it be a tagger? There was already a graffiti mural on this side of the building. Someone had painted a blazing sun which held the silhouette of a roaring dragon inside it. It was the symbol of the Red Talon Kin, the gang who ran this neighborhood. No one would dare tag over their symbol. Then again, no one would dare climb the side of the building on a cleaning night with, oh no, only 60 seconds to go. The figure didn't stop at the graffiti. Instead, they jumped like a dancer from one balcony railing to the next. They leapt fearlessly, and there was something familiar in their movements, something Abel couldn't quite place. He looked up toward the cleaning dragons, just above the skyline now. He saw the first hint of flame from their lips, and then, whoosh, the sky ignited. A wall of blazing orange fire filled his view from one end to the other, and spilled toward his building like a sheet being pulled over the neighborhood. 20 seconds. He had to lean his head against the glass to see the figure now, scurrying from above, 2 stories up and 3 apartments over from his. Why did they look so familiar? It didn't matter. They were about to be burned to a crisp, or eaten by goat mouths, or both. 10 seconds. The figure was just above his window. The dragons were across the street, flames nearly blew with heat as they incinerated the rooftop garbage around the fire breather soda ad. The glass of his window warmed his forehead. Then Percy uncurled at the foot of his bed. Percy, what are you doing? Percy never uncurled for strangers. And that's when the figure outside dropped down to Abel's window. The climber had on claw gloves, one of which held the window frame. Good thing, too, because his room was on the 67th floor. The other pulled the mask off her face. Lena! Abel shouted. His sister clung by one hand to his windowsill as the long wings lit the sky on fire. Ashes rained into her dark hair, and 24 ravenous dragons dove from above. That's the end of Chapter 1 of Battle Dragons, City of Thieves, the first book in this series by Alexander London. This book will be released on September 21st, and it will be available at our book fair in October. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.